Alright, Shalom, like say, call Lord, Wah, which is all praise and glory and huge to Yahweh, Bashim Al-Shai, to my spots, it was a great mission, bless God, the excuses, it's like foreigners, waking us during the truth. I got another article, and it says, EU plans countermeasure to new U.S. tariffs. It says, EU chief, April 3rd, European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen described U.S. President Donald Trump universal tariffs as a major blow to the world economy, says the EU was prepared to respond with countermeasures if talks with Washington failed. Von der Leyen said that the EU was already finalizing a first package of tariffs on up to 26 billion euros of U.S. goods for mid-April in response to U.S. steel aluminum tariffs that took effect on March 12th, and we're now preparing for further countermeasures to protect our interests and our business if negotiations fail. Von said in a statement she read out in the Uzbek city in Samarkand on Thursday, already of a EU Central Asia Partner Summit. Trump on Wednesday unveiled a 10% minimum tariff on most goods imposed to the U.S. with a higher 20% rate for the EU. Von provided details of future EU measures. A French government spokesman said further measures on a broad range of goods services would come into force at the end of April. Nothing is yet decided, she added, but notable digital services are likely to be focused on. Look at that digital shit. Italian Prime Minister Giorgio Goriga Milani said late on Wednesday the EU would strive for a deal with the U.S. to avoid trade war, but not rule out an adequate European response. The nations that respond is likely to be a topic for EU trade ministers when they meet in Luxembourg on Monday. In a war on tariffs on goods, Brussels has just to hit this than Washington. As U.S. goods imports into the EU totaled 334 billion euros in 2024 against the 532 billion euros in EU exports to U.S. The EU has also be reluctant to target U.S. oil and gas exports, which make up nearly a quarter of the U.S. imports and the 10% share for pharmaceuticals. Target retaliations. Damn, these names is fucking crazy, man. Ignacio Garcia Bercero, a fellow of think tank. Shut up. Bruegel, and the EU's former chief negotiator for a planned EU-US trade deal, said the EU needed smarter and more targeted retaliations that maximize the political impact of the U.S. He said the EU might use much broader countermeasures that could limit U.S. companies' access to EU public procurement tenders to the EU services markets, from financial tech. The Trump administration inclusion of EU taxation and regulation and its reciprocal tariffs calculations could amount to Washington said the EU's effective tariffs was 39% with tariff criticizing value added tax and public health rules that exclude U.S. country from its market. The EU says VAT is not a tariff and is similar to the U.S. sales tax. The Worldwide Trade Organization said that EU average tariff ratio is 5%, while the Commission says that the average tariff on goods trade between the EU and the U.S. is about 1% for both sides. EU rates for the cars 10% is above the U.S. duty and 2.5%, but the U.S. imposes 25% duty on imported pickup trucks, largest segment of the U.S. auto market. The European Central Bank has estimated that a blank U.S. tariff of 25% of Europe imports would lower Eurozone both about it's like Europe imports would lower Eurozone growth by 3% points in the first year. EU counter tariffs on the U.S. would raise to 0.5% point. February report, the consultant's Frontier Economics estimate about 20% blank tariffs would hit EU goods exports by $209 billion, with a slight pick up for service exports. The EU also faces 25% U.S. tariffs on steel, aluminum tariffs on cars from Thursday, and on car parts within a month, and pharmaceutical possibilities to come. French President Emmanuel Macron on Thursday will not host representatives on business sectors that will be hit by the new tariffs, which apply from. Bond said that deeply regretted the U.S. move and what consequences of the global economy. She said agree with Trump that offers have taken unfair advantage of global trade rulers and was ready to support efforts to reform them. It's not too late to address concerns through negotiations, she said. Okay, so yeah, it's a bit lengthy. But yeah, this is a this is a prophecy out of the scriptures, man. That shit freezing, but this is happening before our very eyes, man. Okay. It's like a phone freezing. Yeah, this right here is happening before our very eyes. The scriptures I'm about to read. And this is Revelation 17:16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest, which the scriptures, the angel break them down, the horns represent powers. Alright. These are countries and people ruling in the earth. Alright, as a position of these are government bodies, basically, man. Okay. These are 10 countries, to be exact. Let me see, we got it. It's like where is it at? Here you go. I typed it in. I don't know. This is in Google. It says what are the 10 countries in the EU, and this is the AI. When Google pulled up, it says the European Union had 10 member countries from January 1981 to 2004. These countries were Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, United Kingdom, and these are the exact like I said, exact countries that the apostles, the elders was breaking down. They talked about when they was breaking down the scripture. All right, those are those countries. Those are the 10 horns. right? The 10 horns which thou sawest, which is the EU, upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate, naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And that's exactly what's going to take place. All right, these terrorists that Trump, the U.S. has hit the EU with, United Nations, is sparking that hatred, and it's basically going to increase to them just completely being part of annihilating this place. All right. So prophecies are speaking, man. Prophecies are speaking, and Esau can't. There's nothing he can do from stopping them from happening. Prophecy's gonna roll out, and Esau ass is going to be done for real soon. Okay, so we just gotta keep watching. As the Lord said, watch as well as pray. But with that, we give all praise and glory to Yahweh, watching Mount Shah, the last spots, Elder Great Millstone, blessed life, peace, is life, for Shalom.